Hi, hello and welcome to this development video for DanganronpaMP. I'm Leo, I'm a lead developer from Team Danganronpa and also the community manager. Nice to see you all. And what we're talking about today is we're going to be explaining how some of the game mechanics are going to work in DanganronpaMP. We've been spending a lot of time working on them, making sure that we get them right and that we can provide a good experience to everyone. And yeah, I reckon we jump back into it. So since we've been quite quiet on YouTube, I reckon we should explain what DanganronpaMP has become, as we've gone through a lot of changes and we haven't been, which is my bad, I have not kept up all the social media outlets updated. Our Discord is the most up-to-date place to be, so if you want to join there, you can chat to the devs, the voice actors, and you can also just, in general, have a good time. So, when I first announced DanganronpaMP, I was on my own and it was going to be a fully multiplayer Danganronpa game, and this game could serve as a roleplay sandbox or as an actual game. Team Danganronpa was formed soon after that reveal, and after chatting it over with them, we realised that there's no way we are going to be able to get this done in a sort of any decent time frame. So we decided to scale the game down a bit, start smaller and then maybe work up depending on how things went. So, DanganronpaMP is now our project to make a 4-player co-op story. However, this is not where we hope it will end, and depending on how it is received, we are likely to expand the game to allow more dynamic content, including dynamically generated story, with the end goal of a fully multiplayer Danganronpa game, as I originally imagined it being. So how will DanganronpaMP work in general? There have been a lot of changes made, as you can imagine. Danganronpa itself, all the trial mechanics are designed to be single player. So we've had to make some changes, making sure it works, especially with the different game engine. So we've gone from small changes to complete reworks in some trial mechanics, and daily life has also been modified to allow it to work with multiplayer and in the context of our story. Before we dive into specifics, I would like to say these are how we've imagined them initially. We will look at feedback that we get from you guys, as you depend on if you guys want to give us feedback or not. It will be greatly appreciated, and we can decide whether we can make any changes or if we need to make any changes. These are all subject to everything we say is subject to change, but this is what I've been happy with implementing into the game that I reckon is feasible. So before we get into the action mechanics, multiplayer connectivity has also been asked a few times. Multiplayer will be using a peer-to-peer connection system, which means that you will not be connecting to a dedicated server, you'll be connecting to another player. We'll be hosting a small server to host a lobby list, which will allow connections to be a little less intimidating, and will also remove the need for sharing IP addresses. We're calling this system the SpareNet, and it is very unlikely to ever involve hosting dedicated servers for games to run on. This is because we don't have enough money to rent that kind of hardware out, and it's just not feasible for us as a small development team working in our free time for low pay.
It's debating time!
So, moving on to non-stop debates. Non-stop debates are going to work in a very similar way, but they are changed in two ways, which are both very small. One, the player has complete control over where their camera is looking. This does not affect the other players, and this is only happening due to some technical limitations that I've struggled to overcome when programming some prototypes. Another change that has been made is concentration will work where you can slow down time. However, it will work from a global pool, so all players must be careful. Lying is also going to be implemented into DanganronpaMP. Rebuttal showdowns will be joining with a small change to make them a 4v4 format. This style has been imagined for the 4-player co-op story version, and it is likely going to be changed for future iterations when we have more ideas. The showdowns will play out the same, but they will be moved to a 3D environment to allow for the technical capability of the game engine we are using. And next, our logic minigame. For those of you who aren't aware, the official Danganronpa games logic minigames were Logic Dive and Psych Taxi. As far as from what I remember, Danganronpa 1 didn't have one of them. Logic Tiles will incorporate all 4 players. Logic Trials will be our logic minigame and they will incorporate all 4 players who must solve puzzles to advance through the minigame. This will require teamwork to beat the puzzles before the time limit expires, and will still feature the 3-question system as a gateway between each section of the logic trial. Closing arguments will be in the game, and they will work in the same way as in V3, except multiple people will be working together on it. This means that will be a bit quicker to work through it, but there's not much else we can do in this situation. Next, Panic Talk Actions. Panic Talk Actions have been completely reworked, but they will still be working off the same core. Each player has their own little rhythm game to play, however the panicking character will actually do more than just scream a small set of repeating lines at you. But don't worry, they will still be doing that. It is impossible to not have that happen. They will also have a range of abilities that they may activate to try and shut the players down. One ability is a reflect that will push damage from the panicking character to another player. This means that, if for instance, if you were to do damage to the panicking character's influence, if they were using reflect, that could reflect it to another player or to yourself, so you have to be careful and you have to work as a team to avoid knocking out one of your teammates or yourself. Another ability is a Panic Screech, which must be blocked, which deals consistent damage to every player for a short time, and this must be blocked by using the concentration system, which is a system that they can use their own resource bar to protect them from damage. This is limited, and each player has their own resource bar, unlike the non-stop debates. Another ability they can use is the Panic Weep, which randomly changes the tempo. This does not have a specific counter for the player to work off, and they have to just adapt themselves. The final ability is the Final Panic, which is activated once the panicking character has run out of influence. The culprit will randomly distribute damage to each player. The player must then use their focus to block the damage while trying to charge their final truth bullet. Each player will have their own progress on their own final truth bullet, so this can be where you can get a little bit competitive if you're playing with friends. You can see who can activate the most final truth bullets throughout the game. The player must use their focus to block the damage while trying to charge their final truth bullet. I think I've said that. Whoops. Hang on, I've lost where I am. Alright, so hitting a regular tempo mark and blocking damage will increase the final truth bullet charge, but taking damage will reduce the charge that you have. So you have to be careful to not take damage, but also keep on making progress to firing your final truth bullet. That's all from us, and we hope you enjoyed this video. And
Hold it! You forgot the most important debate!
Oh, that's right, Monokuma. Thank you for that. There's one more trial element that I think most people will be excited to hear that we are implementing. Scrum debates will be featured in DanganronpaMP. We had initially abandoned the idea of implementing Scrum debates, as the general idea was difficult to port into multiplayer. But after hearing so many people asking if it will be in the game from our Discord, I decided to try my best over a few days to import the idea and try and keep it as close to the original idea as possible. It is with great pleasure today I can announce that it will play out exactly like the typical Scrum debates, except the truth bullets that each player have will be different and will work out different. They'll be split up differently. So each player will have their character's truth bullets, and they won't have any of the other protagonist's truth bullets. However, they may have. However, they will share other characters' truth bullets. So for instance, our four protagonists, Lily, Elliot, Jimmy, and Tim, they may have, say, Leontine's truth bullets because they aren't a protagonist or a playable character. This is going to keep the core gameplay that people have grown to love with Scrum debates, while still enforcing the idea of teamwork and allowing for a more good multiplayer environment. Free time is another question that's popped up, and people have been asking how will free time work, what can they do in it. Free time will be pretty limited during the main story to allow for easier functionality, as well as certain story reasons which you will discover at the start of the game. However, it will work in a way that it will still be there, and you will still be able to learn a little bit about the characters, and it will still be a post-game free time event mode, just like there is in every Danganronpa game. There will be a set time for each free time session, so there will say be like 5-10 minutes. Players can either choose to spend this time talking to characters, or they can go to their bed and rest. When they go to their bed and rest, it marks them as I'm done with this free time. Once all players are finished, it will have just advanced the free time. Once the player is marked has rested, they will soon after be able to wander around the bunker and partake in some mini games to spend the time. We'll have some things like some cooking mini games, or maybe other things we haven't exactly narrowed down those details, but we'll be sure to update you guys when we know more. That's all we'll be talking about today. However, we are working towards having a playable trial alpha, which will allow you to experience all of these mechanics, Give us feedback on what you like and don't like, and so you can give us feedback on what you like and don't like, and you get a feel for how DanganronpaMP will work. DanganronpaMP's various alphas, betas, and the full release will all be free to play and are expected to have more news on them in 2018. Make sure to join our Discord for all the latest updates and to chat with our devs and voice actors. Don't be scared of V3 spoilers if you have not played the game yet, as we have a strict spoiler policy in place, and we'll see you all soon.